when you start messing with your head, you also have a shoulder. He got pounded last week against ULM. There were a couple times that he really got hurt, and we'll talk about it later, but Arkansas's offensive line did not look good at all, and they let him get pounded. So I personally don't think he'll play. I think his backup will be in.
Yeah, and even if he does go in the game, with those injuries and maybe concussion-like symptoms, one hit, he's right back out.
Well, really, if he does have any symptoms of a concussion, do you want him going and playing a defense like in Alabama?
Yeah, I can see that argument. I can also see that this is probably your biggest game of the year, so you want your best guys out there.
That's true.
I don't know. I can see it both ways. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on him playing. I think they're going to do everything they can to get him out there. If there's any way they can do it, he'll be playing.
Most definitely.
They don't have a shot.
But in the age of player safety, if you do throw him out when you're questionable and something does happen to him, you're going to get a lot of backlash.
Yeah, you definitely got to take the brunt for that. Maybe this kind of sounds bad to say, but if I were John L. Smith, I wouldn't care so much about that, though, because I'm only going to be there 1 year anyway.
You're a temporary hire.
So it's not like it's a long-term thing for you. You're just trying to do whatever you can. This whole year is an interview for you to get another job somewhere else.
Good point.
So we'll see. Like I said, I don't think Arkansas has a shot in this game without Tyler Wilson. Even with Tyler Wilson, it's a minimal shot at best. Niall Davis, as mentioned, was very ineffective. You're not going to beat Alabama if you don't have a running game. You're not going to beat Alabama if you're one-dimensional in either direction.
That's correct.
So Arkansas's defense is still a pretty typical Arkansas defense. Gave up a lot of passing yards. Didn't give up a whole number of rushing yards, but Louisiana Monroe not really a rushing team.
That's true, and Alabama did not look like a rushing team last week. Fowler went down. He's going to be out for the entire season. I think T.J. Yeldon really gets more of a key role with Fowler going down. I think he might even end up being a number one back before the year's over.
Yeah, I think he will be.
Alabama looked really good in the passing game. They had 4 touchdowns through the air. So this might be the 1 year where, even though they're going up against a team who struggles in the secondary and doesn't give up a whole lot of yards rushing the ball, Alabama might be built to be okay with that this year.
Yeah, I think this game is a really good litmus test for A.J. McCarron. He's looked pretty good so far against Michigan and against Western Kentucky, but Arkansas is an SEC defense. If he can have that same kind of passing confident performance against Arkansas, I think at that point you could say, yeah, this guy's for real.
How much of a difference do you think the new offensive coordinator at Alabama has done for A.J. McCarron?
I mean, you saw flashes of what he's been doing this year in the championship game last year, so maybe it's just kind of building on that, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd credit the coordinator as much as I would just credit his progression as a quarterback.
That, and he does have a couple more speed receivers. He's got a couple more big play threats.
Yeah, so I don't know. What's your one key for this game?
Alabama on defense, no breakdowns. If they play it like they should and they just play tough, hard-nosed, make all the tackles like they should, no big plays, shouldn't be too much of a game, I don't think. But if they break down, maybe have a mental error once or twice and let up a big play, they could be in for a scare.
Yeah, mine is, like I already mentioned, A.J. McCarron establishing that passing game. I think if they can do that early, that once they do that, they're going to be able to rush however they want to at the end of the game with T.J. Yeldon or whoever they want to throw in there. Like I said, I don't think this one's going to be close, even if Tyler Wilson does play. I'm going to say Alabama 35-10.
I've got Alabama 38-7.
Yeah, so realistically, I don't think you're going to see a true test for Alabama until LSU. That's going to be the game. Looking forward to that one coming up. Already set for primetime CBS matchup. Hopefully
they've already set that game.
They have for the season. So hopefully a few more points will be scored this year. But even if maybe less missed field goals would be.
Depends on if LSU can keep all their players in play.
That's true. Very true. Very true. Let's go ahead and talk about the rest of these SEC games here while we're at it.
Okay.
Arizona State traveling to Columbia, playing Mizzou this week. Kind of a tough slate for Mizzou there, having to play Georgia after taking that relatively close loss. Now Arizona State comes to town. What do you think on this one?
Missouri's a little banged up, but they looked. I think they had a really good showing in the first couple quarters against Georgia. Their offense is it's extremely fast-paced, and it's pretty unique, but Arizona State looked good in the last two games. They got a new coach there, and they are really pouring on the points. Their offense looks pretty good. But you know what? I think Missouri's got it. I think at home, Missouri can score enough points, and their defense is pretty intense, intimidating. So I think Missouri can pull it out.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Pick this game if Missouri was not in the SEC. Would you feel differently?
Yes. Completely.
I'm just saying, once the team gets into the SEC, you have that SEC bias.
Not only the SEC bias, but I think it's the people that you play.
That's
if Missouri
true.
was not in the SEC this year, they would have played a Powder Puff, followed by a Powder Puff, and then they would have played Arizona State.
That's very true. That's very good reasoning. My thinking on this one, Missouri had some trouble rushing against Georgia. I don't think they'll have quite as much trouble against Arizona State. But Arizona State kind of has the same formula that UGA used in that game, but pass-heavy type offense. Well, with one caveat, they don't have Aaron Murray, so I'm going to take Missouri.
They also don't. Well. They also don't have that one linebacker on defense who just can take over a game.
Yeah, Arizona State's defense and Georgia's defense, even with 5 or 6 players suspended, not even the same playing field.
That's right.
Not even close. So I'm going to take Missouri in that one. Probably a pretty high-scoring game. I don't know. Missouri by 10.
44-35.
Yeah, somewhere in there. All right. Texas at Ole Miss.
Third time we've had Ole Miss in our pick'em.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Auburn, ULM in the pick'em, Alabama, Arkansas in the pick'em, Arizona State, Missouri in the pick'em so far. David mentioned to me before the show that this is the third straight week out of 3 weeks that we've had Ole Miss in the pick'em. That was certainly not by design.
It's just odd considering how awful we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year.
Maybe it's because they've been playing pretty awful teams, other than Texas, I guess. But,
that's true.
The jury's still kind of out on Texas. They haven't played anybody yet.
They haven't.
So they could be awful. We don't know.
We don't?
I don't think they're awful, but they could be. The thing with Texas that people are talking up this year is the running game. Malcolm Brown, supposedly Texas is going to be able to run over whoever they want. Not so sure how that's going to work out for them for the whole season, but I think it may work out for them this week.
Well, Ole Miss is going to be awful. We both thought that at the beginning of the year. I still maintain that. Good job getting your first 2 wins.
Yep.
Good luck from here on out.
Yep. Ole Miss managed to beat Mike Price and UTEP last week. I was looking at the stat sheet for that, though. UTEP's number 1 running back, the guy who got all the yards versus Oklahoma, I didn't see him on there anywhere. He must not have played in that game. So,
wow,
tough for us to say how good Ole Miss's rushing defense is, but I'm betting that after this weekend we will be able to say not that good.
They are awful.
So, I'm taking Texas in this one.
Definitely.
By
a lot.
Hooking the Rebels in the Grove.
Yeah, and they'll keep on romping people until they actually play somebody who's legitimate.
Yes. So
do they play Texas A&M this year?
They do not. Texas A&M rivalry lost forever. Now that Texas A&M has moved to the SEC, I don't know who got mad at who. It's kind of one of those third grade, I'm not going to be your friend anymore.
You're not invited to my birthday.
It's really sad for college football. I expect, probably in a couple of years there's going to be a big push to get that game back on the schedule. But, that's one of the casualties of this realignment thing is some pretty good games like that.
I think that would be a good game this year.
Yeah.
That would probably be a neat matchup.
I think so. I think Texas A&M would probably win that game.
I think so.
I haven't
SEC bias.
I haven't really seen anything out of Texas yet, but just going on that one. That's a prediction I can't be wrong on, by the way. So
that's true.
I like those kind of predictions. All right, let's move on to, strangely enough, the College Game Day site this week. David and I were talking about this beforehand. There's really not that great of a marquee game this week, but Florida-Tennessee was the best that the Game Day crew could muster. Don't adjust your dials. It is not 1996. It is, in fact, 2012, but this is an intriguing game, nonetheless.
Not a lot of people expected Tennessee to go 2-0. Florida has been kind of shaky as they've gone on their road to 2-0. Tennessee's looked pretty good, so I can see where the intrigue is, figuring out who these two teams are. Neither one has really got an identity yet, so this could be a big game for both teams. The spread is only 2.5 points right now, so it's pretty much a pick 'em.
Yeah, my initial thoughts on this, based on preseason, was definitely Florida.
Right.
No question. But based on what I saw out of Florida against a pretty good A&M team, I'm still definitely not sold on their quarterback play. Jeff Driscoll definitely holding on to the ball a little bit too much.
Way too long.
Taking a few too many sacks. Florida defense still pretty good, but I think Tyler Bray can do some things against him. I hate the fact that I'm kind of jumping on a Tyler Bray bandwagon here, but
especially as much as you ripped him at the beginning of the year.
I know, but if Manziel for A&M was able to get some yards on that Florida defense, I think Tyler Bray is going to be able to do it as well.
I don't think Tyler Bray is as mobile. Florida had to worry about so many things against the quarterback that they couldn't just focus on the pass, where Bray's got a big arm. So, I don't know. We'll see. He definitely has the ability to get some throws in there, but Florida's defensive secondary I've been impressed with all year, especially their adjustments at the half.
Well, I'm about to talk about something you weren't expecting, and that is the Tennessee defense.
Wow.
Tennessee's defense forced 4 interceptions against NC State.
Right.
I think they might be able to do the same kind of thing against Jeff Driscoll.
Do you think Jeff Driscoll will get the chance to throw that many times?
I don't know. Interceptions, fumbles, something like that. I think they're going to create some turnovers. I'm going to take Tennessee at home in this one.
Wow, okay. A lot of people are probably going to go with Tennessee because they've been the more flashy team. I'm going to go with Florida on the road. I think it'll probably still be a pretty tight game for a while, but I actually think Florida could blow the doors off this one in the third quarter. The running attack, I think, is going to be pretty solid, and I think they're just going to wear down a Tennessee team who, even though they played NC State early, I don't really think that was a quality opponent. I think they're going to see their first quality opponent here, and I'm a big fan of that Florida defense, so I'm going to take the Gators on this one.
I did read an interesting article on Sports Illustrated today by Andy Staples about how both of these teams are kind of viewing this game as a springboard, if you will. Both of these teams kind of trying to make a resurgence back from the grave. Whoever wins this game is kind of back on the way up in the SEC East. Do you agree with that? I mean, is this kind of the make or break?
It could be. I really think this is the one game that gives each team an identity moving forward. I think if there's a meltdown by one of the other teams, it could get ugly for the entire season. But I think if both of them come in, play a really tough battle, are very physical with each other, I think both teams go on and do some good stuff in the SEC.
All right, so definitely a game to watch out for. Not really any other SEC games of consequence this week. But we do have some additional Pick 10 games to discuss. We'll do that on the other side here, talk about some winners and one big loser from the Pick 10 this past week.
That's right.
We'll do that on the other side here on Outputting Our Coverage.
We're back, don't know what we're talking about. 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 We're back, here we go, no more commercials. Here we go, always talking stuff. We're back, don't know what we're talking about, but we're back. Time for the show.
All right, as promised, we are back here on Outputting Our Coverage. Very eventful week in the official Outputting Our Coverage Pick 10. Of course, if you are not signed up for the Pick 10 yet, there's still time.
We do this weekly, so you don't have to worry about the end of the year.
You might still be able to win the cumulative prize, but at the very least, you can win the coveted weekly honors or dishonors. If you'd like to join, we'll post the link again on our Twitter and Facebook so you can get to that, or you can go to funofficepools.com, search for Outputting Our Coverage with proper capitalization.
That's correct. Very important.
And then you will be able to join all of the fun that your peers are having each week. So this past week, as mentioned, I came in last, 2-8. I'm looking to improve on that this week. First place was Grizzly McDaddy.
That's right.
Who, if I am guessing correctly, might be a certain bearded fellow who lives in Montana, so congratulations to him. That will probably be the only time that you finish on top.
Congratulations, you're practically Canadian.
Yes. So what's the overall leaderboard looking like at this point?
Overall leaderboard, Bama Fan 1 still has a game lead on everybody because of his perfect week the week before last.
Yep.
Rumplefuglies is 1 game back.
But still winning the Ultimate Name Challenge at this point.
Right now, he's on the top of my leaderboard.
You can change your name, I believe.
You can, because mine were originally David's picks 100% correct. They have been since been modified to 60% of the time.
Yes. So